Evening, everybody. Evening, everybody. Welcome to the Cricket Fanatics Magazine Sunday podcast. This is a show that we've tried to push for quite some time and be consistent with it. But with all the World Cups and all the cricket happening on Sundays, it's made it very difficult for us to do this podcast show in the way that we want to do it. So cricket generally has dominated us doing these type of shows. So the podcast show normally needs to be pushed because we have to do a review or we have to do a preview or something cricket related going into whatever series we are going to or whatever matches we are going to in the coming weeks. So the podcast show kind of sits a little bit of a took a back foot a little bit, this type of show, because we talk about everything on the show. This show is about me communicating with whoever joins us from our groups and from the Cricket Fanatics family. But it's also an opportunity for you guys to get to know us better, me better, to chat in the live chat with us and engage in the conversations that we're actually having on the show. Because it's nice for me also to try and get to know the people that we chat to better, because not everybody is from Cape Town, for example, or South Africa. Some of our guests are from around the world. So these type of shows are basically the only opportunities we get to really actually meet or converse with each other or get to know each other, etc. So it does make it a little bit difficult for all of us to find a time that suits us. But we thought that the podcast show would be the perfect opportunity for that. I'm not sure who will be joining me today. That will be up to whoever's available. In South Africa, for the guys that don't know that are from overseas, we have some hectic issues with regards to power cuts and load shedding. Evening, Pratik. Welcome to the show, brother. Um, we have load shedding in South Africa that is scheduled for 2 hour periods throughout the day, dependable on um, various things, right? So, and dependable on the area that you're in, you will either have a load shedding or not. So it's very important that you all understand that when it comes to shows, etc. Because sometimes we can't always um, control that. So sometimes there's been situations where I'm at Newlands and I plan to do the show from Newlands, or I'm away from Newlands. I'm away from Cape Town, not Cape Town exactly, but away from my house, and because of the technical difficulties in the load shedding, there's no Wi-Fi at the venues, etc. So sometimes you will get a cancellation coming on our Instagram, etc., to let you guys know that we're not doing a show. So it makes it very interesting, the load shedding schedule, because it makes us operate differently when it comes to these things. But I thought today would be a nice time to talk about everything that has happened in the sporting world. I mean, obviously, we are currently sitting in a massive sporting event, a global sporting event in the World Cup. Today was the first opening game of the World Cup between Ecuador and Qatar. I started a fantasy league for the guys that want to join the fantasy league. Go check out Twitter and go check out Twitter for the link to join the group, because we do have a league, weird Cricket Fanatics League, covering the World Cup, doing a World Cup fantasy league. But I thought it would be fun for us to all play a game together. I didn't do a cricket one because I wasn't so happy with the cricket one. But maybe next time when when we have another World Cup, we'll do a cricket fanatics group for fantasy with regards to that. So let's talk about the World Cup first and foremost. I think that's the best way to start the show, because we know Qatar is hosting it, and there was a host of reports and things talking about this particular event, and obviously it was very controversial being in Qatar, etc. But I thought that the opening ceremony, this is just my observation of the opening ceremony, that they really tried very hard. I heard some rumor about the fact that they put almost 1 billion into the ceremony or something like that. I don't know if that's true. So you guys can let me know, do the research and verify that with me, please. But it seems like they put a hell of a lot of money into the ceremony. I mean, they had Morgan Freeman basically narrate the whole event. So that was pretty funny for me, because I made a stupid joke on Twitter, and I said Muhammad Freeman, because he was that obviously at the Qatar, and the he he was narrating the whole thing, and it was quite cool. I thought it was awesome to have like this Hollywood voice narrate the entire ceremony. And they went to go get God Almighty himself to come to Qatar to host it. So it's funny that I say God Almighty from the, obviously, for the people that are going to take that out of context, it's from Bruce Almighty, of course, and Morgan Freeman played God. So that is that is a little joke that I thought was funny because of the contradictions maybe between the two religions, maybe. But I thought it was pretty interesting. From my perspective, um, I enjoyed it. I thought that that was their opportunity to try and show unity. And I like the fact that they played almost all the big World Cup songs from previous tournaments, and I thought that was pretty cool. It showed us a sense of unity for me. They also had one of my favorite artists, so you could say, in a way. He's part of a boy group called BTS. If you guys don't know, don't judge me, because people do judge me when I say I do like that group. And Jungkook was, or JK was the singer for the World Cup, and I thought he did a pretty decent job. Um, I wouldn't say that the song was that great. I don't know who wrote the song, but I don't think the song was that great. But I think the performance was pretty cool. He looked cool on stage as well. So I like to see that. I like to see that artists that maybe don't get the general popular um, vote. Yes, BTS is one of the biggest bands in the world, but there's a large contingent of people that don't really rate them for in the Western world, I would say. So it does make it a little bit interesting from that perspective. Um, but I thought that they did in the try and kind of bring people together and to show a sort of unity to the world by incorporating all of those cultures within their ceremony, which I thought was pretty awesome. I'm not. I know what they tried to do with the mascot, and obviously, me being Muslim as well, I understand the whole thing and what they were trying to do with the my mascot. But it did kind of look a little bit like a little ghost, almost like Casper, with obviously with eyebrows and stuff. So it was pretty funny, I thought, from that. But it was still cute at the same time. So it was a confusing one. It's probably the cutest ghost that I've ever seen. You would say, if it was a ghost, but it's not obviously a ghost. We know what they tried to go with that. Um, and but it did good look. I enjoyed it. It wasn't too bad. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't remember the other opening ceremonies really. I don't even remember South Africa's one, to be 100% honest with you. I can't remember who performed, etc. So it's yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, the opening game. I mean, I played fantasy and I picked Valencia in my team, the guy that scored the brace, the captain of Ecuador, and then I took him out because I thought, um, not because I didn't think he's going to score, but I wanted to fit three world class strikers into my team because there aren't many world class midfielders necessarily at a very high price um, on the game. Um, so I thought I'd take him out and then go with my trio of Mbappe because I think Mbappe is going to be brilliant this World Cup. And I went with Messi and I went with Memphis Depay because I'm a Dutch supporter. So in the World Cup, I would like to know actually who do you guys support in the World Cup? Let me know in the live chat who you're supporting and who do you think is going to win. Lawrence says, Did you see the Gianni Infantino presser the other day? I did not. Can you let me know, please, what he said, etc. In the live chat, please, if you can. Just my personal opinion, but the World Cup being hosted in Qatar was a mistake. Even the FIFA president came out with an emotional statement. Yeah, a lot of people thought that way, that it was. I mean, in my opinion, it wasn't the best nation to necessarily host it, especially because of the time of the year that they're having it, because they wanted it in Qatar. So they kind of had to accommodate that. And I feel that it's slap bang in the middle of a Premier League season and Champions League season, or Europa League if you're like me, a Man United fan. And it's slap bang in the middle of all of those games, and it kind of is going to it caused a lot of issues because so many stars have been injured. We know Mane is out of the World Cup for Senegal. We know that Benzema is now out, the Ballon d'Or winner is out of the World Cup, which is a shame. So it's Son, I think, as well from South Korea. So it's not that great, man. I don't really like the fact that that happened, and it could have been it could have been controlled and managed because they could have had the World Cup in the normal slot and pick a country that suits it, because that break in between is the perfect time to have something like that. So very interesting to know that they chose this, and it is very controversial. But to me, it's behind us now. Let's try to enjoy it as best as possible. We've got a first guest with us to it. Judge, supposed to be studying. What you doing here?
No, I just finished the past paper. I don't know.
You
Oh,
are
I'm
blast.
so... Uh,
What you studying? What you studying, by the way? I never actually asked you that. Welcome, Aditya.
I'm doing teaching at tax. So yeah, I'm in my third year now. So
Oh, so
yeah,
I should be calling you Manier, not on the channel.
no, definitely not.
We currently just talking about the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup, because it's obviously a massive thing. On today's show,
uh,
we're obviously going to talk about everything. Not necessarily going to be only about cricket, and I'm going to get into the poker a little bit later because we had a nice victory there too, and then I'll probably go into maybe some of the 4 day results, some of the things that we've been up to at Cricket Fanatics Mag. I want to hear about Aditya's stay in Leeds and how that's been, in moving there, etc. So let's get your thoughts first. Did you guys get to watch the opening ceremony?
I didn't watch the ceremony.
Okay, cool. So then we don't have to really talk about that opening ceremony necessarily. But what are your thoughts of it being in Qatar? Do you guys have any opinions on that, etc.?
Uh, I know. I I don't want to say my opinion about it. Um, I know that there's been a bit of controversy with it being awarded in Qatar with the human rights issues and stuff like that. And um, I know that there's also been concerns with the LGBTQ, rights and stuff surrounding it. I did chuckle a little bit yesterday. I don't know if you guys watched the FIFA president's address or whatever, where he said, I had red hair and stuff like that. I was a little bit like, what are you saying? But I mean, I suppose it'll be quite nice for Qatar and it'll be good for the economy. Well, not that they
Need
need
it.
the tourism, but I suppose if you have to take some positives, I mean, at least they're going to experience a nice World Cup and all of that as well.
I mean, the best part will be, teacher. You might know. I don't know how much you guys follow BTS, etc. But one of the main singers was performed. So I was really happy. He's my favorite um, artist in the group. So I was really happy to see him there performing, etc. Um, teacher, are you gonna watch anybody in the World Cup? Are you gonna watch this World Cup at all? And who are you gonna support?
Yeah, definitely. I will watch the World Cup. I can't say that I have like serious favorites there, but I think just as players, I'm a fan of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. So I think generally if they do well, I'll be happy. Uh, but yeah, I mean beyond that, I think I'm into it more for the atmosphere here. Just to go into a pub and experience the collective effervescence of watching football in England.
Uh, are you supporting anybody, Stuart?
My background's Scottish, so I mean, I don't really know who to support. My brother and I are talking about Brazil quite a bit. We're quite excited to watch them. But yeah, I was kind of going for Brazil and maybe Portugal because of Ronaldo. But
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm a massive Netherlands fans for the people that don't know that. Obviously, because of my upbringing, I lived there for 3 years and I experienced the Euros, and it was so incredible. So I think the Netherlands got to the semi-final and got knocked out, and it was an incredible journey because everybody painted their grass orange, their houses orange. They put their Dutch flags outside. I was like, wow, what is this? This is crazy. And I was like, wow, that's why. Since then, I was a Dutch supporter and I've supported them since. And we never had the opportunity to win a World Cup. I mean, South Africa, I thought it was our time, and then we got cheated against Spain. I say cheated because I was still watching that in a fan zone in South Africa at the waterfront, and the the corner that or the goal kick that that Spain scored off was supposed to be a throw in for Ireland right at the end
uh,
of the game, and then they scored off that particular goal kick, which was crazy. So I was heartbroken. I think I was so angry. I kicked a stone I don't know, the stone flew to some random gate.
Wasn't
But
there was an octopus as well that I remember because I was like 11. There was an octopus there's like I could predict like the results and like if they put like food in one container with the flag on it, and then I was just like, yeah, if you're a betting man, and the octopus was never wrong. That's you get
that was
that.
hilarious. There was something different, completely different. Yeah. Oh, hey, maybe DJ in the future, India host the World Cup. Yeah.
I would be delighted for them to host the World Cup. But what's really fascinated me about this World Cup in Qatar is that they've built portable stadiums. So
Hmm,
you can unbox the entire stadium onto a ship, and you
Okay.
can transport that machinery to another country, which I
yeah,
think
That's
is just a
crazy.
phenomenal idea, because I think we all know that a lot of there's a lot of questions asked about stadium infrastructure that just lay in Brazil and other countries with not much happening on that. So
Hmm.
for Qatar to come up with this idea and have, I think, what was it, um, they had, like, I don't know how many shipping containers basically, out of which they made an entire stadium, which is ridiculous. Not to mention it's going to be air conditioned.
yeah.
Well, Lorenz, you are currently in England now, Aditya. What is the craze there and talk around the England team? Because Lorenzo said about both actually, winning the T20 World Cup as well, and now around the football team. What is the craze been like there, the talk around the town over there? Because he says the England football team is the Proteas of football, but at least they've won a World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of excitement about a World Cup, um, about a football World Cup, and I'm pretty sure that the pubs are going to be jam packed. So that's the mood, and it's been I mean, you can sense the excitement. Like, there are a couple of pubs like just down the road from me, so I see it walking to and from campus all the time. But um, yeah, with the cricket World Cup, mate, I'm disappointed at the low number of people that actually follow cricket religiously. And like, I went in, like, the day India lost, for example, the day India lost that semi-final, I wore my India jersey and I went into my PhD suite, and I was like, "Yeah, buddy, always bleeding blue and all that." And, and they're like, "What happened?" Like, India lost to England, and really, okay, that's good.
It's crazy. I didn't realize that it's like that. So split there.
Yeah, there is a split. Like, I ask everyone that I meet, I ask them, "Do you follow cricket? Do
Hmm,
you follow cricket?" And some people will say that they do, but then there'll be
hmm.
plenty of others who are not really into cricket.
Because we know Leeds is a massive football city. I mean, Leeds
Hmm.
It's
United
also
is
a
one of
massive
the most
cricket city.
historic.
It's
Yeah,
also a
as
massive
well. Yeah,
cricket city because
it's
Headingley
crazy.
is right here.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
I'm
And rugby
probably
league, I'd assume as well. But I think it's
Rugby
rugby
league
league.
as well.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
but I'm
crazy.
probably gonna explore a lot of Leeds and Headingley and try to find our good friend Otis Gibson, because
Mm.
he's coach of Yorkshire. So
Yeah, so you heard it there first. I did just gonna get an exclusive with Otis. Not joking. Stuart, I want to ask you. Let's go to move on a little bit to onto cricket. I mean, we can talk about rugby a little bit later if people are interested. But what is the cricket like, or the following like where you study? The students, etc. What is their interest in it? Because we're trying to obviously spread it to more people, and obviously universities is probably the best place to start, maybe.
Hmm. Um, so to be deadly honest, I was like the COVID generation at varsity. So I mean,
Oh.
we only really went back to campus properly this semester. So I took the car train every day as a day student. So I don't really know um, the full extent of it. But obviously, when you watch like varsity cricket on Super Sports, it is quite popular, and like Tux has got quite a good cricket side. Like I know Aiden Markram played for Tux, and there's the high performance. I keep forgetting the name of the, but I think it's at LC de Villiers. where they have the high performancing where guys go train and stuff like that. So I think it is quite popular. I just don't think it's like as up there as it could be, if that makes sense. But
Yeah,
it's
because the rugby is huge there. I know that.
yeah,
You guys have won multiple titles, etc. I think in the Varsity Cup, so I enjoy watching you guys play. Yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, I'm still trying to find ways to spread it more because I mean, we advertise it like crazy that Newlands was free for the 4 day game,
mm,
and it was some good cricket was on display from Western Province, particularly, I would say. And there were a couple of people that came through and came into the stadium, but yeah, I would like to see more of us there. I want to have a Cricket Fanatics contingency at the stadiums, etc. So you need to push that Cricket Fanatics vibe there at Tux. It would be great.
yeah. So I'll try.
And when Amy the Villas is there, when he comes and visits, you better be there.
I'll be in my element.
When he decides to come out of retirement, he's gonna probably announce it at Tux again.
Oh,
Yeah, so let's check out some of the comments that people are trying to say. I know people want to listen to cricket, and let's talk about cricket. I'm gonna move on to cricket right now and just give you guys some updates on what happened in the 4 day series. So, out of the matches that were played, the Duffy Warriors and the Lions came out on top on Sunday, which is obviously today. Western Province won yesterday, quite emphatically. I did an exclusive interview with Calvarena to get some insight into his brain and what he thinks about his game currently, about the knock that he scored because sorry, about the knock that he scored because he scored at almost 90 strike rate. It was like 201 of 220 balls, which is 221 balls, which is ridiculous for a person like a player like him. Because and I asked him actually the question. I asked him, is this something that you want to? Is this how you want to play cricket going forward? Because I mean, it takes a special type of knock to do that. Because, for example, I was talking to a player yesterday, and we were talking off air about the different players on the field, etc. And he made something made me notice something about Tony Rizorzi and Calvarena, for example. And I was looking at it, and I was like, Tony always approaches his game exactly the same way. He always goes out to try and play positive, whereas Cal can switch up his game according to what is needed for the team. So I really wanted to ask him that questions, and he answers it in there, and he speaks about it in that interview. So please go and watch it. But let's go straight to the 4 day results. Okay, so as I said already, it's Western Province won by an innings and 210 runs. Their bowling attack, guys, I think any team that plays against the Western Province bowling attack is going to really learn from the experience. I think that for a guy like Mikey Cohen, sorry, not Mikey Cohen, a guy like a guy like Michael Copeland, he's the type of guy that's young that the Paul Rocks are trying to push, and he was batting at number 3 for the Rocks. And he was in a very difficult situation because the only person that really scored runs was Stian van Zyl. He got a 61 in the first innings. But he faced a lot of dot balls, and he was leaving a lot, and he ended up going out. But it's understandable, I feel. Um, and I think that is, and when I spoke to him afterwards, he specifically told me about what he learned about that patience is that he knew that he needs to now be patient and think about the time spent in the middle rather than the score that's on the board, because that will be valuable experience for him. But yeah, the Western Province game that happened, and then the Warriors versus the Dolphins. Excellent. The Warriors came back twice in both matches and ended up with a victory. This like with Robbie P. I mean, Robbie P is really a busy man. You can see his hands are in multiple pots at the moment with the SA20 happening, and this his team still had an opportunity to win. Even the assistant coach back here, who's with the Sunrisers, Port Elizabeth, he's their assistant coach, I think, over there. So he's also looking at two different things and also probably really busy, but they still managed to pull out a victory over there. Some phenomenal batting from, again, we saw Jordan Herman perform again. Pichlequire scored a 68, guys, which is it's a good thing for South African cricket, I would say. And Ethan Bosch even got a 50, so he's going to be rivaling his brother there as an all-rounder. And then we got the Warriors over there that scored 136 through Rosier and a 71 from Matthew Bresky. I'm so happy Matthew Bresky got some runs over there. And then the Dolphins' reply, um, They just struggled ultimately. So the Warriors won the toss and elected to bat first, and they end up winning by 69 runs. Then moving over to the Northwest Dragons versus the DP World Lions. The Dragons, where is this now? The Lions, the tops there was from Alliance, there was 150 not out by Vian Mulder, and then Dominic Hendricks 89. Um, then the Dragons only managed 169. Not a good batting performance from them. Bjorn Fortuyn took 4 for 43, by the way, in that particular match, which is excellent. And then the Lions' reply again was 203 for 8. And Ryan Rickleton got a century, guys. We're going to talk about Ryan Rickleton a little bit. I'm waiting. I'm going to be asking him to come on the show soon to discuss certain things. And then the Dragons scored 273 all out. And they, Potgieter scored 81 not out and Marshall 56. So that was an interesting one. The Lions won by 123 runs in Northwest Dragons. But in the press release, they didn't put the result in. They said they still trail by. So I don't know what is going on over there. It's the wrong intro. That was probably from yesterday. And then the Titans against the Knights. The Titans won by an innings and 142 runs. What a game. The Titans scored 648 for 10, and Andy Klassen got 292 of 240 balls. That's insane. It's like a T20 special over there. More ODI special over there because it's impossible for him to do that maybe in T20 cricket. But Junior Dala also got it 56, and then Dean Alga scored 137. So from a Proteas watch perspective, Klaassen, Verreina, Alga, I would say to an extent Ryan Rickleton, even though he wasn't selected in the team, which I think he should have been. He never had the opportunity. He's not part of that Proteas camp, but I mean, at least he's still on the Proteas radar. The Knights scored 243 for 10, and Gian Clutie scored 50. No other performances there, but Lazard Williams took 4 for 56. Brilliant performance by him. And then the Knights were thrown into bat again because obviously they didn't reach the total, far off it. Pat Van Buyung scored a 73 and Matthew Klemper 58, but unfortunately Simon Holmes 4 for 84 and Dan Halim's 3 for 36 put them to bed. So they ended up winning that one. So that's the Division 1 fixture list or results. Anything you guys want to pick up on there or speak about? Let's just go around the room.
I think anyone scoring 100 deserves a mention there because we've been talking a lot more about batters needing to score runs, and so Ryan Rickleton scoring his 13th first class century is a huge deal because you look at the rate at which the consistency of the man is just mind-boggling, and he's just producing the good season after season. So yeah, I don't know what he's doing outside the Proteas camp, but I suppose ankles are delicate, mate. Got to protect them.
Stuart, what was your pick of the round?
Yeah, I didn't really follow all the fixtures, if I'm honest with you. I watched the first day of the Titans game, and yeah, it was quite a good first day to watch, and I thought Michael Pretorius bowled quite well from what I saw. I also think he's someone that should be, or at least talked about to be in the conversation to be selected. But yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Aditya said about it. I mean, Klaassen, that's ridiculous. I mean, you can't it's a one-day knock. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna have to change my team and put him in ahead of Zonda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also another mention also for Nilan van Heerden. I think he bowled excellently as well. A really star find for the Knights, and he did well last season. So I'm hoping he's going to be able to pick it up this game as well. Because I mean, the bowlers this year, I think bar maybe one or two teams, the bowling looks really good. So I think our batters are really going to get tested, which is awesome. Okay, so on the Rickleton situation, I've been told what happened from Rickleton's perspective, but it's off the record. I cannot speak about it yet. I will chat to you guys about it when I'm allowed to actually speak about it. The situation is difficult for me because I can see both sides of the story, both Rickleton side and CSA side from this. But I do feel hard. I do feel sad for Rickleton that he wasn't selected for this. But I will, if he can give me an interview for it soon, I'm hoping that he will. I will bring him on and he can tell the story rather than me telling the story, because I don't think it's fair for me to tell his story when it's his story to tell. So you guys are just gonna have to wait a little bit longer and continue with your speculations around it until I can get him on the show. So yeah, let's leave it at that for now. You want to talk a little bit? Do you want to talk a little bit about the test arena going into Australia? I mean, Calvin, we know that there's probably only going to be one wicket that you could maybe say there's going to be spinner friendly. But we have gone with the Simon Army in the team despite that. What is your thoughts on the squad, Aditya? I mean, you did give a little bit about it on the last show, but let's just get a little bit more from you.
Yeah, I think it's along expected lines. With KP being injured, I think that's where you sort of feel like, who's going to replace him in the squad. So you need to find someone who's made the big runs. And I think with Tunis De Bruyne, that's it. We can only hope that he does well. Um, he's been piling on the runs in the domestic circuit, and now I guess he's got another opportunity to prove himself at the international level. But having said that, I do hope that what I'd like to see from the Proteas is the clarity in their approach. Particularly with the bat, because you shouldn't really get too muddled between what you can do naturally, what you're naturally inclined to do, and what the narrative is with all the aggression and things like that. So I hope the focus is on trying to get 350, 400 runs each innings, and score a couple of big hundreds, because that's what will win you test matches. With the bowling lineup, again, I think the the England series sort of was testament to the South Africans starting off well, which has been which has been a bit challenging in recent times, apart from the England series. So I hope that they start well again, because coming back from 1-0 down in Australia is always going to be difficult. And, I don't think South Africa want to be in that position.
Hmm. I mean, we know there's going to be a push for seven batters because of the weak batting lineup to it. I mean, Andy Klaassen and them really put up their hands to maybe be that seventh batter.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm very apprehensive. Like as I said last time, I'm cautiously optimistic about it. That seventh spot, I think, obviously with Klaassen performing the way that he did, he now kind of has to select himself. But again, I mean, I still kind of it's weird. I don't know who our best batting lineup is. If I have to be honest with myself, like I mean, you can say the openers like pick themselves. Obviously, Peterson being injured, we don't really know how De Bruyne will be at number 3. I saw he batted at 4 for the Titans the other day, so I don't know if that means maybe Rassie comes in at 3, or if they're going to shuffle the order that way. So it's just role clarity that I'm not saying they have to justify like why they're picking players in certain positions, but I just would like to kind of have an idea and be like, okay, well, this guy can fulfill these roles. That's why he's in the team, if that makes sense, as a fan. And I don't really I don't know how well De Bruyne can bat at 3, because I've never seen him bat there. So I don't know what to expect. And I mean, we're facing arguably the best bowling lineup in the world, and none of our batters are pretty much averaging in the 40s. So it is a bit of a worry. But having said that, we have overcome, I don't want to say harder obstacles in the past. Like we played well against India when they were out here. And I thought we played quite well in England, even though we did lose the series 2-1. There were signs where I thought we can play, and we're improving against swing. It's not 100% better, but at least it's like a step in the right direction. So it's cautious optimism.
I've got asked the question over here by Matt92. He says, who is on the selection panel besides Vic? From what I know personally, Patrick Maroney is the other selector on that panel, and then I think the last was obviously the coach. I think that the three of them would make the decisions. I'm not sure who if there is another person or third person outside with the Proteas camp itself. You know what I mean? So it's Patrick Maroney and Victor Imputsang. Pat has a very good knowledge on the youngsters and the younger players as well. He was under 19 selected for a while as well. He was on the selection panel for the under 19 team as well. So he does have a very good understanding of the youngsters coming through the system, which I like. I think that the blend with Malibonga Maketa, Vic, and Patrick Maroney at the moment, their knowledge kind of lies with that particular bracket of player, the guys that are in between domestic, under 19 domestic and going into international. So we'll see, because Malibonga's first team is a very experienced team, domestic experienced team. Like I've seen someone of Lawrence say over here, for example, do we see Klaassen and Verreynne in one lineup? I can definitely see that, and I agree with him. It's definitely something that we need to do, is pick on form for this particular World Cup. Bar the experienced guys that come straight back into the team. For example, Temba and Rassi, I feel, need to come straight back into the team. We need that experience back in the middle order. Although Rassi, there might be some question marks from certain fans, I still believe that he's a good player and really brings solidity to the team from a mental perspective. The bowling, I'm not really worried about, but I think it's a very good test side, or good, decent test side that should be able to compete against Australia if everybody plays the way they played. My concern is that Calvareno scored today, yesterday, or not yesterday, sorry, the day 1, day 2, yeah. He scored a 200 that wasn't characteristically something that he would do. But I liked that he could adapt. I never thought that he could. He was double stepping, hitting six. I think he scored 6 sixes in that particular innings of 200. And he was double stepping, moving left out of his crease, etc. His foot movement was really good, and I thought that was pretty excellent. So that was fun to see. We've got Ashwani with us as well, that wants to give us his top 5 movies that he's watched recently. Go.
Oh. Yeah, I watched mostly Hindi movies, so you
What is the latest Hollywood movie you guys have watched? Let's just
Yeah,
move this quickly on.
okay.
Let me ask you that. What's the latest Hollywood movie you watched, Ashwani?
Yeah, latest Hollywood movie I watched. I think it's Rock's movie. I clearly
Black
don't
Adam.
remember. Yeah, Black Adam. I recently watched it.
Oh, you watched that? I didn't watch it yet. Don't do me any spoilers. The latest movie I watched was Black Panther. Aditya?
I watched Tickets to Paradise, George Clooney and Julia Roberts.
Oh, they're back together again in a movie.
What
in
an
a
incredible
movie. In a movie. we gotta be a Hollywood insider fanatic soon. Stuart Judge, you. Oh, sorry, I muted you. My bad. Yeah.
I went to the cinema quite a long time ago, like a few months ago. And the last movie I watched was Top Gun Maverick with my brother. It was quite funny. After we were done, you walk out and you think, yeah, we can be pilots or whatever. And we jumped in the car and he's fiddling with the air con and he's singing Danger Zone. So I think it's best if I don't go for a while this week.
Yeah, we don't want you to watch Black Adam and you jumping off buildings tomorrow.
No, I was so embarrassed. I was walking out. I was at 4 years more. There were these ladies sitting in front of us, but they're crying in the movie. And I thought I said it quietly to my brother, but I said, "Yeah, did you check those old ladies crying?" But I said it quite loudly, and we're the only people in the mall, and it echoed. And they just turned and looked at me. So I was like, "No, I can't take you anymore."
That's hilarious. Okay, let's move. Guys, throw your latest movies that you've watched in the comment section, please. I would like to hear what you guys watch. I'm a big movie fanatic as fan as well, so please throw that in. Ashwani, give your thoughts, bro. What you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mostly talk about cricket because other sports I have no knowledge. So
We'll teach you, yeah. We'll teach you,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You're gonna be
yeah. I'm here to
sooner or
learn.
later. You're gonna wear Springbok jersey. I'm telling you.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, obviously, I have a huge you considered crush on South African cricket from the late 90s, from where the likes of Pollocks, Donalds, Simcox, Gary Custance. So I think I would like to talk more about South African cricket. The upcoming South African versus Australian series, the what I talk about in the previous chat show, I think the guys who will score at quicker rate, the guys you I mentioned about Kyle Virini and Klassen, they are the guys, and I would like to see them at 6 and 7 because they are the guys who can provide that impetus or that acceleration, which you need in Australia as well. Because uh, mostly what I saw in Australia, the run scoring pattern is very fast. In Ricky Potting's era, in Steve Waug's era, and in today's era, I think you see the Australians scores at 4 run and over. I think which is in that time very fast. So I would like to see that South African players will show some intent, and obviously the guys like Dean Elgar, who just want to play that stoic game. I want to see them. They should accelerate if they set or see the new ball. And the middle order, I would like to see, you can say that, more intent. So I think South Africa can bat in these conditions because obviously the bounce factor, it's very similar to Australia. And one factor which we have to consider is that Kookaburra ball, because South African is also used to play with Kookaburra ball, and the ball which we used to which we saw in England, which is Duke's ball. So Duke's ball is very hard to face, or especially the new ball. So I think I am very sure that South African batsmen will do well there.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. My door's open. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
bugs coming in. Yeah. Thanks, Ashwani. There's a question over here for you, both of you.
yeah.
Well, it's actually to Ashwani, but I'd like Aditya's thoughts on it as well. But so let's get Ashwani's thoughts first. Lawrence Bailey wants to know what is your view on BCCI sacking the whole selection panel?
Yeah, I think it's coming. But I would like to say, if you sack out the selection panel, I think it's not their, you can say, that fault properly, because obviously this selection panel is, you can say, that small pond in in the large lake. It's just you can say that it's a small fish there. So yeah, it's very easy to sack that selection panel, and it's coming. But I think I want to see the guy who has that broader vision, because in the past era, we see the types of selection. Obviously, if you I can give you the example of Mohammad Shami. Mohammad Shami is basically a red ball bowler. No doubt, he's one of the best red ball bowler in India. But I think his game in T20 cricket, uh, I think it's not that suitable. Similarly, with the types of selection they pick, I think the guys like Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Harshal Patel, they are of similar pace. So I think there are, you can say that selection is very critical here. So I think in in the semi final, you saw, you don't pick an leg spinner, and leg spinner is your biggest asset. What Temba Uma made a mistake, Rohit Sharma made a same mistake too. Temba Uma don't pick Tabrez Shamsi in Netherlands match, and Rohit Sharma don't pick Juzvinder Chahal. Obviously, result may be the maybe same, but I think Juzvinder Chahal's selection can make a difference there. I think you have to uh, pick the player according to the condition, and I think conditions are very crucial in the game of cricket. So I think in that case, selection is sacking of selection is right. But I still saying that this is the small fish in the pond. So I think there are a lot of sacking I want to see.
I love how you so harsh, but at in such a gentle way. It's hilarious. Did
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't expecting the entire selection panel to be sacked because, generally there's always talk about, it's one of those things where you have a lot of players to choose from, but you can only pick 11, right? So,
Mm,
you're challenged in that sense, and you feel like someone, like a good player, is always going to miss out. So, you know, th- th- like that was the conversation. I didn't know that the selection panel was going to bear the brunt of it. Uh, but now when I read why the selection panel has been sacked, for example, you know, they've had like 8 different captains, and um, in a calendar year, and then they picked KL Rahul, straight from injury, and a whole host of other issues. Not really being able to assemble a settled team. So I sort of get it. Uh, but having said that, look, selection in Indian cricket is just really hard. There's
mm.
um, it's like a permanent headache that they've got. They've got to take paracetamol every single day of the year because it's just such a tough job. Uh, uh, but yeah, look, having said that, someone's got to be accountable. The players have put in the performances. You look at different times of the calendar year where every single person in the 11 has put in performances and deserves to be in that team. It's just that that may not be the right combination to win against an opposition. So yeah, I guess selection in India is a tough job.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's move on. We've got Gaurav Bodia saying, Khalid, it's time for CSA to sack the panel as well. But we all know that won't happen. I don't know if it could, it couldn't. I don't know. I haven't actually brought that up when I've had conversations with Enoch, for example. I never actually brought that up with him. So I must maybe ask him about that next time I speak to him. 7-4 with 4 fast bowlers, Alexander Brain bowling if needed, says Gaurav over there. What's your thoughts on that, guys? The 7-4 split. I know we had a whole show on it, but you can still give your thoughts on it if you want. Ashwani, Stuart first. He hasn't spoken in a while.
um, I honestly don't mind. Yeah, I think the 7-4 is probably the way to go. The question is just whether you put Maharaj in the team or not. I know it may not be spin-friendly tracks on all of the tracks that we're going to play on, but I think he can also offer you something with the bats as well if you need it. Like it can get us a quick 40 if we need to. So I don't mind whatever direction they're going with the 7-4. I just think as long as they to address the batting, that's just the main thing for me, if I'm honest.
Ashwani, I think you have given your thoughts on the 7-4 split in the last show, haven't you? Oh, he's not here. Okay, so I'll move on. Yeah, this is a nice string of answers from Eden over here that I like, and this is something that Ashwani can touch on as well with me. He says, "Can someone tell me why Mulder hasn't been considered? He should be our 7. He has improved so much since the last international games. Number 6 and 7 should be players that are up and coming." I like that thought process because if you know that those two positions will be for newer players, it kind of will force South Africa to obviously select younger players in those two positions. It will force us to play youngsters in that way. So I do like that train of thought. I would like to see what they do with it. With regards to Mulder, I think giving Mulder this domestic season to really score a lot of runs is why they didn't select him. They saw what he could do in the county scene. That was a lot better than what he was producing in the 4-day arena before that, consistently. Because also he wasn't necessarily giving opportunities to bat, because when he was selected for the Proteas, he was predicted more as a bowler than a batter. So now he's batting a lot more in domestic cricket high up the order, which is really going to help him out. So I like that. Well, what is your thoughts, Ashwani?
Yeah, I think you are right. I think Mulder's main problem is inconsistency. I think which he lack, and in this coming county season or the season which he performs, so I think he done really well with the bat, and which will give him the confidence. And I think if he perform in this 4 day matches, I think he will be surely in the contention at number 6. One example which I want to give you is the example of Colin de Grandhomme. I think obviously the talent pool is quite short in as compared to New Zealand and South Africa, but I think New Zealand have give him the go. Colin de Grandhomme, if you compared him the talent, the Mulder and Grandhomme, I think Mulder has better talent than Grandhomme, but I think New Zealand has give him the long rope, and now you see he make his good career out of them. Obviously, he's retired from the game now, but I think the player like Grandholm, he from the chances which New Zealand gives him, he makes a good career out of it, and his performances are really good for New Zealand. So I think South Africa should stick with Mulder there. I think if South Africa will constantly give him the chance, I think this guy has the potential. I will not compare with him, Callis. I think if he become half or 25% of the Jack Callis, I think it will be good for South African cricket.
As that's it for the show. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. I hope we can do a lot more of these type of this open discussions with everybody, etc. Talking about random things. I like the Sunday show. We just haven't had the opportunity. But thanks a lot to everybody, Aditya, Stuart, Ashwani for coming on the show. Thank you to all the fans out there that have joined in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let me know if you want to see more of like them. We'll have obviously a variety of guests coming forward. Even cricketers, I would like to bring on the podcast show to get to know them better. That was just the whole point of it. But that 7 o'clock time slot on a Sunday evening was a bit difficult. I've always wanted the 8 o'clock slot for the podcast show. But thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Take care. Peace out. And remember, we're going to be at Newlands again for another match. Come and join us this week. Please come and meet us and let's have a conversation. Peace out, everybody. And enjoy the rest of your week and the rest of your evening.